How are you guys this evening? I'm checking all my screens to make sure we are live. Jenny, can you tell if we're live? Okay. Yeah, it's on there. Good evening. I see we're getting some people on there for. Good evening, everyone. Hi there. I'm Paula McCoy, owner of Colors for Earth. How are you this evening? Hey, Jameson. How are you? Now you're going to make me nervous. You and Paulette, probably. Hey, hey, Brenda. Okay, so we're going to let a few people get on. Okay. Hey, Jackie. Making sure everything's okay. I had a couple of times before this that my internet stalled, so keep your fingers crossed that we don't have any snafus this evening. So tonight I'm going to talk about the De-Zigners. These are, when I named them, the Z instead of an S means like from Zentangle. Tonight I'm going to show you some brush strokes that you can use in whatever medium you happen to be painting with, whether it's with the color concentrates, whether it's on the ceramics or on the glass. You can use the same brush stroke techniques, just a different product, different medium. Okay, so we're going to let a few people get on. It looks like we've got quite a few. Right, Jenny? Jenny, mute your other. Jenny is in the background remotely helping me. So this is a new way of doing things. So I have to remember when she tells me there's a question that I need to tell you what it is because you can't hear her. I'm assuming. Jenny, say something and let's ask them if they can hear you to make sure. Okay, so she just spoke. If anybody could hear Jenny other than me, let me know. I don't think you can. It's weird because I can hear her and it's coming through my speakers and my voice is going into the speakers, but you can't hear her. So it's like having a voice in my head. That sounds really bad. Anyway, okay. All right. So tonight is the De-Zigners. Let me switch my cameras to my overhead and we'll get started. Okay. Okay. Hopefully you can still hear me. Okay, and Jameson said he did not hear you. Okay, good, good. So this is the plate or dish, whatever we want to make it. It's an 11-inch piece of clear. And tonight I'm going to work on 90 COE because this is a sample for Cheryl over at Art Glass City. We had a snafu that happened with the other one I painted for her, so I'm going to redo it for her tonight. Okay. And throughout the evening, I will pop up different links, and then Miss Jenny will also put those links in the chat. If you're joining us from YouTube, they will be in the YouTube chat. But because I'm on my personal page, they don't show up on there. Okay. So here is the De-Zigners. Okay. So you can do brush strokes, you can do the quill pen work, and I want to show you this dish here. Get it where there's not too much of a reflection on there. So the flowers that I have on here are exactly what I'm going to show you tonight, just different colors. And then in the background, I used the quill pen with the black, and I just did little doodles in the background. It's one continuous line there, okay, with the quill pen. If you have purchased our products, I just want to go over some basics here, and any of the glass products, make sure that you ask to join the CFE Glass Color Artist page, okay? That is a closed group. You need to answer the questions correctly, or you're not going to be allowed to get on there, okay? So a lot of people request it because it pops up on your feed, and then they never answer the questions. So if you don't answer, you don't get in, okay? And then also remember that when you're asking questions on that board, tell me what COE you're working with, how many layers, how you stacked it, did you paint, where, top, bottom, did you cap it, meaning put another piece of glass over it, or sifted clear powdered frit over it, what was your schedule, and the exact products, because a lot of people just say the enamels and not realizing that the De-Zigners are a non-enamel, they're just in the enamel category, okay? And just basic information, because I'm going to come back and ask you this. So if you tell me that information up front, it makes the answers go quicker for you. Okay. All right. Okay, we have a question out there. Yes. Okay, so the question is, am I going to tell how to set up a quill pen and how to mix the product? So yes, I'd be happy to do that. Not a problem. Okay. So first of all, I've created a pattern, and Jenny is going to put that pattern link. It's on a blog page out on the Colors for Earth website. So she will link that in the chat. So you can go print that out. Once the video is completely live on YouTube, then I will link the YouTube video onto that page also, so that everything is right there. I did put a firing schedule on that page, and just basic general information. Okay, so what I've done is just take Scotch tape, put it underneath my glass to attach my pattern so that it doesn't move as I move the pattern. Okay, so what I did was I put some of the powdered, okay, so here is how the De-Zigners come. And you need to comment, like, and share the video. I'm going to announce the winner from last week, that anybody that shared, I picked a winner out of those people, and you're going to win the plate that I painted last week. Okay, so if you'll do that this week, you get a chance. Now, if you're not a friend of mine, I won't be able to tell that you've shared it. So make sure you ask to friend me. Okay, otherwise I can't tell that you've shared it. It just said 6 additional people shared it, and I don't know who you are. Okay, so the De-Zigners come in 14 grams or a half ounce, and then an ounce. Okay, and then we give you these little nice little scoops, so you can, and I give you one for each color, so you can either leave it in that bag. This is strong pigment, so it can stain your fingers and different things, so I just recommend that you use one for each color. Okay, so I've taken some of that out, put it in my little glass jars, and we sell these jars. They're called the ink jars. Okay, and then I've added the GM300, and it's usually 2 parts or 3 parts medium to 1 part of the color. Okay, so 3 parts medium to 1 part color. This is some that I had in there. I reconstituted. I actually put some out with my tool, and then what I did was, and I'm going to go ahead and do it again, is I added extra medium to it, and I sit here and still worked it up, and that allows me to kind of grind all those little particles and make sure everything is mixed well. Okay, and so that's what I've done here. And I had yellow, and I added just a touch of green to it. So anytime you're going to mix colors, always start, and these De-Zigners will stick on the edges of your tools, your palette knives. Make sure you clean them really well and wipe them so you don't see any product, because they really adhere to that really well. So I took yellow and I added just a tiny bit of the green. Okay, and it makes a huge difference. You need to start with your light color and then add your dark color. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lake before you ever get to the color that you want. So because this has been sitting here for maybe 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to add more medium. And that's the nice thing about it, is you can reconstitute this. You can leave it right here on your glass and just add more of your glass medium, and you're good to go. So that's kind of cool. Any other questions, Jenny? Okay, no questions. All right, so I'm just going to work these up so you can kind of see how that is. Can you use straight from your little jars? Yes. I had an over amount, abundancy in my jars, so I needed to take it out. Plus, anytime that we're putting 2 colors on a brush at the same time, you don't want to dip necessarily into your color while you've got something else on it, because you're going to contaminate. Okay, so these little glass jars, and then you can write on, I just took one of our labels and stuck the label on there. So just put the powder in there, add the medium, more medium than the color, and I'll go into the quill later on. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is do my leaves. So what I'm using is a number 8 square shader. This is a Kolinsky square shader. You can also use a tack-on square shader if you wanted, which is the, let me show you this one that doesn't. So if you can see the difference, there's two different hairs. The Kolinsky is like the hair on your head, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. The hair on your head. The Taklon is a waxy coating. It's a man-made synthetic or Taklon type brush. Okay, either brush will work if you have them. I'm using a size 8 tonight. And let me scoot this over so that you can still see everything while we're zoomed in. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to load with this light green and work it into the bristles. Be sure and ask, you know, any questions that you have in the chat, and Jenny will let me know. So I'm going to work it in. This would be like shampooing your hair, okay? I've got it worked into the brush. I always like to keep the writing of the brush towards me so that I always corner the same corner in that dark color. Okay? Yes, we have a question. I usually mix first in the jar, but I had too much product in there, so I pulled some out and then just really, because I'm going to do brush strokes, and I'll show you why, because I need to blend this here, okay? And I can't do that in the jar, and as I said, you wouldn't want to have a different color on your brush and go into a separate color because you're going to contaminate one or the other, okay? So I'm turning the brush over and just blending it on the brush, keeping the dark side in the center, flip it over. So do that quickly, okay? This is a little wedge stroke that I'm going to do on these small leaves. Now the dark is on this side because my writing, it's always on this corner. I'm going to flip the brush over because I want the dark next to my stem. And I'm going to just press and slide off to a point. And let me show you that on paper. It may be easier to see. Let me get some more color. So if this is your stem, I'm going to press, pull, pull, slide, slide, slide. So see, my brush did not turn. I'm going to grab some more. So it's just press, pull, pull, and slide. Is my finger in the way, Jenny? A little bit, maybe. Normally I hold right there where the ferrule and the handle come together, but I'm going to put my hand back a little further so that you're able to see the brush. Press, pull, slide, and slide. You need to do it slow. Okay, she says she can see it. You got to do it slow because if you do it too fast, you're not going to get as nice of a finish. Okay, so deliberately press, pull, and slide. So depending on how the color is loaded, one or two colors, a brush stroke is a combination of color. The pressure determines the size of that leaf, and the motion creates the stroke. So color, pressure, and motion. And I know that some of you know that because I teased you with that a while back. I may have a quiz at the end. You might want to remember that. Press, pull, and lift. Okay? All right, so that's that one. Let's do these other, and this goes really fast, guys. And these are I've got them thinned down. They're very translucent. The dark green can actually create bubbles between the glass if it gets too thick. Okay, these are not enamels. These are non-enamels. If you look, let me see if I can tilt it closely, you can see a few bubbles where the darker green is. There's some there. There's one right there above my brush there. So you just need to be careful and don't get it too heavy. If you're an acrylic painter or even a ceramic painter where you're used to applying full strength, this is not full strength. We have thinned it way down because they're that strong. So every time I'm loading and I'm blending, and I like to put the dark next to the stem, press, pull, and slide off. And generally, I do all my strokes towards myself. I feel like I have more control that way. And the more we do these, the better you get at them. That's why there's a bunch of them on here. Press, pull, and lift. So mix your De-Zigners either in the jar or on a piece of glass. And you want to go at least 50-50, but I would go 3 parts glass medium to 1 part color. And I'm using my finger now. I don't want to lay my hand down because I've already cleaned my glass. I can actually get a paper towel here and keep that from touching. Now, when I said you should pull towards yourself, if you're left-handed, you probably are going to push. So I'm going to push these so that if you're a lefty, you can see that. I'm not going to paint. Okay. I'm not going to actually switch to a left hand. I can, but I don't want to on a live because knowing me, I'd mess it up. Okay, so I'm going to hold my hand back here further, press, pull, and slide. See how easy that is? And some of you, I know, hate this stroke. You're going to hate the other one worse, probably, because this is the easier. Now, if you can't do these, you can always use a round and create a stroke. But I want you to see how, can you see how translucent that is? I mean, it's very, let me hold it up. I'm not sure you can see. It's hard to tell. I'll put a piece of glass under it so you can see it in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to go through here and do all of these, grabbing some color, blending it, and you noticed I'm going right back in that same spot. Isn't that nice? You don't have all these little spots across your palette. Okay, any questions, Jenny? Not yet. They're being quiet. Okay, so now we're going to do the other strokes. And these are considered like a wedge, or excuse me, a ripple or a M stroke. It's also called a one stroke. So I'm going to load the same way, turn so my dark color is towards the center. And what I'm going to do is press and slide up. It's almost like a closed C, we call it. But if you do those on top of each other, and always keep the light green along the outside of your leaf, and the dark green should stay even with the stem or the center vein. Okay, so you're pivoting as you go up. So I pull the left side towards me, and then on the other side, I turn my work around, and I'm going to push it this time. And I'm not going to worry about my pattern, okay? So push and up, push and back in towards the center, push and in, and push and come off. Okay, let's do another one. Ready? Press, 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 and come off. Turn your piece. Now you just need to practice the stroke and draw yourself some leaves. Press, 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 and come off. So what happens is when you press down, you're fanning it out, and then you're coming back up. And then you're overlapping that and coming back up. And you can do them in single strokes like that. If it works better for you, looks just the same. But once you get the hang of it, then you can just go. Oh, the sit it down, mush, mush, mush. That's what she's talking about. That is the Sumi shading. That is going to be on a webinar. That's on my Zoom class coming up on the blue flower plate. So this one doesn't have a song to it. Okay. Sorry, Paulette. That's funny. If you've taken any of my classes, that's something that I say, especially in the ceramics. So this leaf is underneath. Again, I'm going to put the dark towards where the stem would be, which would be the flower. Okay. And remember, the amount of pressure you put down will determine how large that stroke is. Of course, the brush has a lot to do with it. Okay. So press and come up. Press and come up towards the center. Press and come back to the center. Press and come off. And it glides so much easier on the glass than it does on paper. Okay, so I turn my work around. So I pull the left, and I'm going to push the left because I've turned it around. And hopefully I can do this without getting my hand in the way. So press and lift, press and lift, press and lift, press and lift, press and come off. Isn't that pretty? Hey, Miss Isabel. She's from a long way off. Color, pressure, and motion. Very good, Den. I'm looking up to see the comments. You guys are getting it. Yay. Making happy little leaves. Jameson, I'm not Bob Ross. That's for sure. Press, 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 and come off. And I'm going back and I'm loading when I feel like my brush is getting dry. Okay. Sometimes I'll even put out a little dot of medium over here so that if I feel like my brush is just a little dry, I can go in here, and that will also loosen up any of this color that's dry where I'm blending. So that's kind of nice. I'm going to lift this a little bit so that you can see it better. I'm going to start in here, press, 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 and I'm pivoting. I'm pivoting the brush. So the light green is staying on the outside, the dark green is staying to the center. Any other questions, Jenny? Oh, absolutely. It will. Yeah. Okay. So Teresa, yeah, I got to talk the question out. Teresa asked whether or not it works on ceramics. Yes, it does. That's where I first started using it, was in the ceramics. Okay. So the question out there, Jameson wants to know, can I do all of my, like, do all the left sides, turn it, and then do all the right sides? Sometimes I do that. Am I making you dizzy? I guess would be the question. um, so, I mean, you can, but you've got to remember, if that dries in the middle, then those colors aren't going to merge and blend. And you could have a definite line, and it would kind of wipe off some of the color. If you're going to do it like I'm going to show you a couple here right now. Okay. So if I'm, whoops, and look what I did. I just touched into the wrong side on my blending. And I'm going to grab a little bit of medium. Felt like I was getting dry. So could I? Absolutely. I could go over here and do this one. I wouldn't go probably, and see, none of them other ones are facing me, so I'm going to stop. So if there was something across from me that was facing me, yes, I would do it. Definitely. But just make sure whatever's underneath, you do it before you do the one on the top. If you have a pattern that is like that, where you have them touching. So like this one's on top here, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And because that other one is wet over there, it just kind of wipes over it, so to speak. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Jameson. Any other questions? Yes, good question. Okay, so she wants to know, do you need to leave a little bit of space on the outside edge of the glass? Yes, the De-Zigners and the color concentrates, if they touch the edge of the glass or get on the side, they will probably not seal. So I like to use these little pointed Q-tips. And when I'm done with whatever I'm working on, I will go around the edge and I will seesaw and kind of aim it in. And that just takes off a fraction of the color there. And that's good enough. It just needs an area to seal, because this has no glass in it. So it can't seal if it goes all the way out to the edge. That's a great question. Thank you for asking, because sometimes I forget to tell everything. I don't do it on purpose. I'm doing a technique and then I just forget. I think you should know it. That's why. Okay, so Jamison said he didn't get dizzy, but because he might be klutz, he said, and that's his words, then he might get into some of the other color. Now, you could sit and do everything on one side and then work yourself across. The other option is, and I don't have any of these in stock, but Jenny mentioned it. We have, we used to sell these. We don't have any in stock right now. It's a clear bridge. Okay. You can make yourself a wooden one. You can make yourself one out of glass. Just stack you some pieces of glass here and here and put a piece over the top and just have it just enough above that when you rest, and it's hard to see this in the camera, Jameson, I'm sure, but you can kind of tell. The clear ones are nice because you can see everything underneath you. The wooden ones, of course, would block out your design. My dad originally made me wood ones for my classroom. So this holds your arm up off your glass so you're not resting your palm on there, not getting any prints, and you would not be klutzy, so to speak. Okay? So you could do that. And like I said, because Debbie has made herself one, Debbie Elmer, out of just little scrap pieces of glass. Just put like probably 4 3mm high, just tack them together or tape them together, glue them together, whatever, and then put you a piece and just make a decision, you know, what size pieces you're going to work on. This one I think is 14 or 15 inches across. Now I've lost track of where I was at. I get to talking. Okay, we have another question. Can we do it with CCs? Is that the question? Yes. Yes, you can do this on glass with your color concentrates. Okay, yes, you can. You need to follow the firing schedule that I have on the blog page because these have, once the binder, okay, your medium burns off, there's nothing holding this on. It either has to have another sheet of glass over it or it has to be sifted with clear powdered frit. Okay, and it needs to be done in the first firing. Do not fire and set it because you can literally wipe it off. When this burns off at 800-900 degrees, it's gone. There's nothing holding it. And if you were to fire it and then come back and sift over it, what happens is each one of those little particles of glass is like a little pebble hitting down on there, and then it could diffuse the color. It could move it and give you little pixelated type areas. I hope that makes sense. So you definitely need to clear cap it or sift over it before you fire it. Okay. Did that answer that? And then the CCs are the same way. They're not, they don't have to be capped the first time, Lindy. So this color concentrates, or we call them the CC enhancers in the glass world. Okay. Those you can actually fire and set at 1225, but they do need to be full fused and capped to be food safe. Okay. Any other questions, Jenny? Okay, no questions. All right, don't forget to like and share the video. And I just did it again because I'm talking. All right, so I'm going to wipe that off there. And I'm going to get that off of there. All right, I'm going to start over here. And because my color, you see how it's drying here and it's wet? So I'm just grabbing a little bit of that medium, mixing up one little corner because it's going to dry, keeping the writing of the brush towards me so that I always load that same corner with the dark color. All right, let's go in here and do this one. And I'm holding my hand back further than normal. It feels awkward, but I want you to be able to see. Okay, so it's just learning that stroke, and it's just a closed C. You can practice, if you're a ceramic person on bisque, you can put some food coloring in your water bowl and just practice like that. On the bisque, it'll burn off. It's a great way to practice banding also. Jump over here and do this one. And then I'm going to put the red and the black out so that you can see those, and we'll go over mixing those up. Okay, I got 2 more leaves. So sit. We have another question. Okay. Yes, and that was Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Hey, it's not an enamel, so you don't want to push and pull and puddle and fill because they are too strong. They will give you ginormous bubbles if you do that. They're more made for brush strokes and the quill pen. So if you just joined us, see this piece here. This was a webinar I did about a year ago, and same type of flower, same leaves, and then I used the quill pen in the background. I used a brush to outline and detail the design, but I used the quill pen to do the little back and forth. Cornelia lace is what that's called. It comes from the cake decorating world. Okay, so I think I got all those. So make sure you rinse your brushes, just swish them in the water, especially your Sable or Kolinsky. You don't want to rake them across any of those little ridges in the bottom of some of your water bowls. Don't kill your brushes. This is like the hair on your head. If you raked it across one of those water bowl things, it basically would be like giving your hair split ends, okay? And you don't want to do that. Now, before I change palettes, what I want to do is do the stems real quick. So I'm going to go to the liner. This is your 3600 number 2 that we use in the glass world. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of that medium and just loosen up what I've got there. That's kind of the two colors blended. And you can just pull in like a center vein and a stem. And I'm just going to do a few real quick. And I know I'm over the top where you can't see on some of them. But it's very translucent, very watercolory. Can you see how translucent that is? I know it's hard to tell. Right here you can kind of see how translucent. You can see my finger underneath there. See? That's very thin, very thin. Okay, so you would use your liner and just apply your stems and center vein, and I just keep rinsing and wiping off on my paper towel. Let me go back a little bit. Let's see if I can go the right direction. Yeah, I'm wiping on the paper towel to make sure I don't have any of that color still left in the hairs, okay? Because it's so strong that it can just hang on forever, it seems like. Okay, so what I'm going to do is move this piece of glass out of the way, and I've got another piece that I'm going to put the red and the black out on. So like I said, I had some of this in here. I've mixed it. It kind of gets a little jelly after it sits for a while, so don't freak out at that. Let me get just a little bit more because I've got a lot of flowers to do. And then I'm going to add the medium. So I've already got like at least a 50-50 mix of the powder, the De-Zigners. Make sure you comment and ask questions because I am giving away a set of colors to do this plate. So you actually get the 4 colors, the medium, and the scoops. That's going to be one of our giveaways tonight. Okay. So see how far that goes, and I added like a nickel size amount of the medium, and I'm just kind of smashing it against the glass to make sure all the granules are mixed up. Okay. And then so Teresa asked, can you do the same thing with the color concentrates on ceramics? Absolutely. I may have just got green on my face. Yes, you can. Like I said, I started in acrylics 35 plus years ago, and then went into ceramics. When I was able to stay home with my children and do my art. And I've done that my oldest is 34. So That was kind of nice. So I've been an artist for at least that long. And before that, I sewed. I was a seamstress. Almost ink. So the question is the consistency like ink? Almost, but not quite. It shouldn't be. If you're going to do the quill pen work, yes. And you'll be able to tell if it doesn't come off of the pen, then you need to thin it down. Make sure that you wipe all those edges, everything, when you do your mixing, because it's going to come off. Okay, so on this guy, what did I do with my picture? Question is, if you have a lot left, can you put it back in the jar? Absolutely, you can put it back in. You can leave it on here and just add some medium and reconstitute it. I just washed these two pieces of glass off because I had quite a few different colors on there. But a lot of times I'll just let it sit here. Unless there's an abundance of it, then I'll put it back in. I'll just let it sit here, and then the next time I come back, I just throw this piece of glass in with my De-Zigners in my little tote, and then I come back and see what colors I've got out and what I can do. So this red flower has the black center, okay, or it looks like veining, but it actually is the same type of loading we just did on the leaves. I'm going to load with the red and corner load in the black and do those, okay. Same stroke that we did on the leaves. When I design something, I try to do it so that you have to repeat it over and over, and by the time you're done, you should get it. So there is a method to my madness, okay. All right, so I'm going to fully load with the red. And I'm working that in. It's like shampooing your hair. Fan the bristles out, fan them out a little bit so that you get color inside there. And then riding the brush towards you, corner load, and start to blend. I'm going to grab a little bit more red, just because I got too much black. It's pretty strong. Okay, I'm going to keep the black to the center. And it's the same stroke that we just did. We just pivoted for the center, so it made it in a Y. Hopefully that makes sense. So I think you can see that. So press and lift, press and lift, press and lift, press and lift. So it's just like a little fan. You've pivoted, okay? And I may have got that red a little thin, but that's okay. It has like a watercolor type look to it, which I like. And I have less chance of getting bubbles. Now, the nice thing is you could go on the back side of this, because I am going to back this with white and sift over the top. You could go on the back side and do a stroke back there if you wanted it more opaque. But try not to get too heavy with your product, because if you do, you're going to get bubbles. Okay, and the darker colors tend to make larger bubbles. The dark green is the worst one. And you notice we didn't have a light green. We made the light green. So you can intermix any two colors to achieve another color. Press, 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 and up. Okay, let me come in a little bit closer so you can see. And I'm going back and I'm corner loading. I'm just kind of picking up some on the red corner. If I need black, picking it up, and I'm going back to that same spot. Okay, so we're going to start over here, press. So I just press down harder on the brush to fan it out more to cover a larger area. And James is saying, why aren't you doing all of those the same way? It's a habit of mine. I'm sorry. I like to finish one area before I go to another. So that's just me. Any other questions, Jenny? Okay, no questions. You guys are quiet tonight. What is a brush stroke? What are the three components of a brush stroke? Does anybody remember? Put it in the chat. What is a brush stroke? Jenny will tell me what you're saying, so I don't have to stop and look. And anytime you put, like I said, I'm going to put this on a white base, and it's going to make your colors look stronger and more opaque on a white versus clear, where it's got the translucency. And it really depends on the style. And Talisa said color, pressure, and motion. Very good, Talisa. All right. Hey, Jenny, let's add her. And you just won a number 6 Kolinsky square shader valued at $20-some. Okay. See, I told you you'd need to remember that. I just added an extra prize to tonight. Okay. So I'm going to go in the center here. Press and lift, press and lift, press and lift. When I say lift, I'm coming up on that chisel edge. So I'm pressing it down to fan it out to achieve the space or the size that I want, depending on my pattern. And remember, your pattern is a guide. It doesn't mean you have to stay exactly that size. I usually paint larger when I'm doing my ceramics, for sure, larger than, and I am going to grab this so that I don't have to sit my hand down in it. My bridge. Press, 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 press. And I'm afraid to go to my side camera. We got locked up earlier, so I'm just going to do it overhead tonight, just so we don't have any technical snafus. Okay, isn't that pretty? You could do poinsettias like this. You cannot use these products on ceramics, those of you that have been asking some ceramic questions, okay? Yet. You never know what I might come up with in the future. But as of right now, do not use them. They're too strong. Too strong. Any other questions, Jenny? Okay. Comments? Okay, you like it. All right. The pattern is out there. If you missed that, it's on the blog page, and Jenny did put that in. But if you just go to the Colors for Earth website and, oops, I turned my brush. Did you see that? Go to the blog at the top in the blue bar at the top. It says blog, and hit blog or hit glass, and you'll find it there. And then go to the page. There's a PDF pattern you can download, basic information about the De-Zigners. And the De-Zigners are on sale. And we do have a sampler pack out there on the website that has all 16 colors. And all of that's on sale. It does not come with any medium. You need to buy the medium separately, okay? The GM 300. And it's cheaper if you buy the 8 ounce than just to buy the 2 ounce. So don't forget to buy that. You do get the little scoops with it. So see, it's just the same stroke over and over. Get that out of the way. I have a question. It's gonna, if I didn't ask, they look transparent. I did thin these down, and I said that a little more than normal because the black is a dark color. So it is going to be semi-transparent. If you wanted it more opaque, don't thin as much of that red down. And then I also said that you could go on the back side of it, and you could do a stroke on the back also, which would add a second layer. I don't know if some of you remember the hydrangea webinar that I did. That's probably been almost, I don't know, 9 months, a year ago. That one was 6 layers, and it looks more opaque because you're layering things on top of each other. And I'll pull that out and show you that in a minute. Okay, but yes, it is transparent. You can see on this one flower up here that it is very transparent. But whenever you put it on top of white, okay, it's not as transparent as you think. It's just going to add more white. Yes, Jenny, was there another question? Okay, so the question was, could I bring a loaded brush closer to the camera? So yes, I can do that. Let me zoom in. All right. Hopefully that'll show. So I'm fully loading in the red, riding the brush towards me, corner load in the black, and I'm going to start a new area up here, and I'm going to blend and blend. I think I need more red. There we go. Whoops, sorry. What is that? Okay. Hopefully that helped. Okay. All right. Any other questions? So the hydrangea piece is, it is a downloadable files, and I don't remember how many hours, but it's a lot of hours. I think it was, okay. Thank you, Jenny. She's telling me to zoom back out. Okay, so this is a hydrangea piece done with the designers that I'm using tonight. So there was, I did put a white backing, and you can kind of see all the different layers there. So there was a sky in the background, and then there was some of the, like this leaf up here is behind, that one's on another layer, that one's on another, this is on the top. So there's different layers to achieve the look. Okay, and I can tell you that there is a clear cap over the whole thing, but underneath the hydrangeas, there's multiple things going on different layers. But everything's painted on the top of the glass and then just stacked. So that's kind of fun. That is available. There is a color kit with brushes for this webinar or Zoom. It was done as a webinar. It's out there, and you can, you don't have to wait for me. It's on the website. You can download anytime, day or night, and have those files and patterns and firing schedules and everything, because you have to damn it. Okay. All right. So for the center, I'm going to add, let's see, I've got yellow out here. Let's switch back over here. Okay. And now I'm going to use the stubby brush. This is one of our red handles. It's the number 6 stubby. It's a mongoose hair, which means it's kind of a mixture of natural hairs. So some coarse, some soft. And I'm going to grab some of the yellow, and I'm just kind of stippling. You see that? Stipple down into it. And then I can go over here and grab a little bit of that green too. I'm trying to find some that's damp. And you can stipple in the center. I did fire the hydrangea all in one firing. Someone just asked. It is. And the first one I did, my kiln failed. It failed the second time. I went to my ceramic kiln. So I actually did it in a 27-inch Paragon ceramic kiln with elements only on the side, and it worked. So on that hydrangea, and there is a private Facebook group for that particular project. So if you order that, don't let me forget to add you to that group, because I did some. Pardon? This is the stubby. If you just type in stubby, Jenny is asking me what brush I was using. This is the stubby. There's only one size out there. This one is a little wet, so I'm going to back off and not do that. I'm going to grab a little bit of the green. I'm trying to find a wet area. I'm going to have to grab some medium and dampen it, and just kind of create like a little C along one side. And if you do wet on wet, then it's going to blend. You can wipe off on a paper towel and come back in. And I'm really working fast because everything's so damp. And then rinse when you're done. Okay, so on this particular one, when I did it originally, I outlined very loose. I'm going to show you that with the black. And I did outline and add some detail lines on the flowers. So I'll do a couple of those to show you. And what I'm going to do is end up taking some of the black. Oh, I don't need black out. I've got black. Duh. I'm used to working on one piece of glass, and I've got two going. So, all right. So I've got glass medium out here on the palette. So I'm gonna load my brush in that and then grab some of the black and just start thinning that down. I think they can still see me, right, Jenny? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. So kind of pull it through it. We call it making little trees, basically, so that you get a nice point and not really super heavily loaded, but there's enough on it that it's like an inkwell, okay, and it's going to funnel down. Again, use your pinky to steady yourself, and then I'm just barely touching the surface, because if I start messing with this, it is going to move, or we can loosen it up. So I'm just going to, and I am going to go back over. I know I had a green stem there, but I'm going to add the black. What I like to do is outline one side of these, and I usually will do the dark side, but if you had a leaf that went wonky, this is a good way to fix it. You can just put an outline on one side, and the only reason I'm doing one side is because I don't want those to be really strong and overpowering for the design. If you put too much black on there, I'm going to grab my bridge. It'll just overwhelm it. You don't want to just tickle, I call it. You're just barely touching with the tip of the brush. And I just use what I call loosey-goosey, because if you don't follow it every time, then it's not as noticeable if you get outside the line, so to speak. So if you just do it loose and then do your flower also, and just come up and just make sure you keep loading. Grab a little bit of the medium if you need to loosen that, you know, depending on how dry it is where you're working. And then sometimes I'll put what I call my little tick marks at the ends of the stamens. So you can see I'm not following the exact petal, because that way, I used to tell my students, they said, oh, I'm really nervous and I shake and I can't do it. I said, but if you do it consistently the same way, nobody will know that it's supposed to be a different way. So if you just do it real loose, that way, if you go way out or something, nobody will notice it. Okay. That's my reasoning behind that. Let me do the other side. I know I'm hurrying. How are we doing on time, Jenny? I'm okay, so we're almost an hour. Okay, all right. So let me finish this one here, and then I'll show the quill. Okay. Sorry about that. I get to go in and like, ugh, I just want to get it done. And then you can add little dots around the center to kind of tie that in. I don't know that I'd use a stylus on that. I think I would use just the tip of the brush, and then you can put a little divot in there, and you might outline this. So if you're local, this will be at Art Glass City over in Louisville the next time I go that way. And we are going to book a class up there. I've got some glass. I picked it up over the weekend to work on a class, so watch for that announcement if you're local or you want to come in town for a class. That'll be fun. She has a great shop. She is a bullseye shop. I normally work on 96. Okay. You can sign your name the same. So if I were finished with this and I still had the black, so I would do it on top of a leaf or an area. And I'm just barely touching the glass. And then I tendency to do my year. Okay, there we go. So you would just continue, and you can keep adding more stuff if you want. If you didn't have a pattern, you can actually draw directly on the glass. Boy, I can't talk tonight. with the Statler Triplus fine liners. These are like a Sharpie point, and you can draw directly on here. And when the color touches it, it will kind of give you a halo of that marker color. Don't freak out, it fires away. But if you want to just sketch. And I gave you the pattern, but I want to do real quick, I know, and then I'll do the quill. I'm getting off base, Jenny, but I like to tell them this. So if you're trying to come up with your own design, determine how big you want your flower. Okay, so you probably can't see that. I need to use a Sharpie. I just realized. All right, so the question is, will I be using the piping kit? No, I will not. What do they want? I have a great YouTube out there on, it's called Beginner Outlining. It's like my most viewed video, and it covers the piping kit really well on there. So just go look for that one. It's like one of the oldest videos. I think it has almost 300,000 views. Hey, Eileen. She could watch me pan all day. Okay, so this is the size of my flower, and then determine how big your center is. Okay, so this is just a real quick little design tutorial here. Make a Y. Everybody see the Y? I think they can see that okay, can't they, Jenny? Or should I move in a little bit? Whoops, how about going in? There we go. Okay, so now you've got two large areas and the small area. All you got to do is divide that large area, and now you have a perfect 5-petal flower, whatever shape your petals are going to be. You could do it in an oval and do it the same way. Divide in half, and now you've got a petal. See that? So when I did this design, here's my little sketch. So what I did was I made my Y, and then I made my petals around it when I drew this pattern about an hour ago for you. Okay, so same principle. Okay, and that's how you come up with. If you wanted a daisy, divide it in half again all the way around, and now you've got smaller petals. Okay, that's your little quick tip of the day or evening. Okay, quill. I need a piece of glass. I wasn't prepared for that. Here we go. We got yellow and the quill, and I'm going to use black so you can see it. And let's hope, yeah, okay, I've got enough. So I'm going to thin this down. I'm going to put about a nickel size amount of medium in there. And this is running pretty, it's hard for you to tell, but it's pretty thin. I'm going to add a couple more drops. You can't really do a test because this jar is only like a 1/4 inch deep, but I'll show you when I start loading the pen how thin it actually is, or it isn't. Okay, so a lot of times you may need to prop this up like on the side where you've got a little well of color here, and I'm going to scoop it in because I want the color to go up into, it's hard to see, there's like a little oval. I'm trying to get it where you can see it. I think you can see it. Okay, so, and I don't have another one with a tip on it. Okay, so you want to get it past that so that you've got a well of color. And when you touch, make sure you don't have a little blob hanging on it because you don't want it to drip off. So kind of drag it on the edge of the jar. And then you want to touch the glass and fan it out to get it started. So there's little tongs or teeth at the end here. Let me wipe that off so you can see that. And you see the teeth? Let me go in a little bit closer. So when I touch there, you see how it fanned out? See, it's closed. Now it's open. Okay, so the color has to be in that little oval to feed down into the tip. So touch, open that up just slightly so that you can get started. Okay, so you can actually write your name with it. Don't go too fast. And I did not clean this glass, so I may have areas that repel. Constantly load. I think that's the biggest thing that people don't do. They don't load often enough. If you have it too thin, it could gray out on you. I don't think it will as far as the designers. The concentrates, you can do the same way. And they're water soluble, so you don't use the glass medium with the color concentrates. Okay, the concentrates are a pre-liquid. They're in a gel base. You have to shake them, but you can just put those like in one of the little paint wells, put you enough in there that you can scoop your pen into it, or use a jar the same way. Okay, any other questions, Jenny? So when I do that Cornelia lace, I just constantly go back and forth and do different directions. And they used to do this with a piping bag on cakes. I learned probably 25 plus years ago, we had a lady that came, she was a cake decorator, and then she became allergic to flour. Her name was Jeanette McCoy, and she brought a lot of the cake decorating techniques into the ceramic world. That one had a bubble on. So you can see how you can just keep going and going. Any questions on this? Thanks, John. He says, wow, I need so much more practice, Jameson says. It does. And you just got to get that consistency. And I realize it's hard to see the consistency on camera, but you'll know it. If it's too thick, it's not going to come off. Paula Lozano has done a lot of quill work. So you just got to get that right consistency. But you're using glass medium when you're thinning with the De-Zigners. If you're using concentrate, you're going to thin with water. Distilled water is better because we don't know, some of like Dallas County, which I think is where Jameson probably is, there's a lot of calcium in the water, and it's just better to use the distilled just because of the particles and things. Okay. All right, guys, what do you think? Now, you can't outline with your quill, okay, because, see, I've got it where it's not going to work now. It would scratch the design. It would scratch off your color, you know, on your piece. Now, could I have signed down here with it? Absolutely. I could have signed with it, okay? All right, so let's, whoops, wrong direction, sorry. Let's go back out. So hopefully that helps and gives you some little tips on doing that. Any other final questions before we do a drawing? No questions. All right. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Paula says she loves the quill work. Perfect, Dan. No, Dan, I don't know that it's perfect, but I try. You know, I just do what I love to do, and I love to share. I would like your opinion, you guys, on something, and I may be jumping the gun on this. Jenny will probably slap my hand. I'm thinking about doing a membership type thing, and I can do memberships on the website, or I could do the Patreon, or I can do YouTube memberships. What do you think about those? And getting, you know, for a small fee, a monthly fee, you get videos, projects, that kind of thing. Give me your feedback. You can always message me if you don't want to put anything on the chat. I do go back and read everything on the chat. Okay. Let me set this out of the way, and I want to show you. So think about that. Yes. Will the quill work with acrylic paint? You know, it really won't. Now, there may be some of those out there that, what are they called? Is Robin on here tonight? Have you seen him, Jenny? Robin, what is that deco art color? The media, fluid media, those might be thin enough that you could do something with them. But what you got to remember, guys, is that tip, when you drag that tip across wood or canvas, it's going to be tough not to have it grab or to ruin your tip. So there maybe a calligraphy pen would be better. There are those little, I don't have one in front of me, the one with the little wells, but it still has a harsh pen. So I'll have to think about that one. I'm not sure that you could do that. India ink on stuff? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so last week, this is what I painted for you for the ceramic Zoom. And we had people that shared, and hopefully Paula can find your paper. And the winner, like I said, you need to be sure if you share this video, which I'd like for you to win a prize from tonight, okay? You need to make sure we are friends, because if we don't, if we're not friends, I can't tell who it is that shared it, okay? All right, so I'm going to try something, Jenny, and I don't know whether it'll work or not, but okay. Hopefully you can still hear me, correct? Okay, all right, because I've got two mics on, so I want to make, it went away. What happened? Oh, well, we'll just do it this way. Okay, so last week I painted this one, and the winner, because they shared, is Lucy D. Matte, M-A-T-T-E. Lucy, you are the winner of the plate that I painted last week. Okay, so I need your address. Please message me your address, email, phone number, so I can send you tracking, and give me a few days and I'll get that sent out to you. I ended up just putting a cerulean glaze on the back of that. Okay, so Lucy, is she on here tonight? I don't think I've seen her. You don't have to be present. Okay. All right. So she won that piece. Now, before I get off and going, this is my next ceramic Zoom class. This is done with color concentrates and our gloss medium. And you can sign up. It's August 21st or 22nd. It's a 2 to 3 hour Zoom class. It's on the website. And you can buy color kits, the full kit with brushes and color. You can just buy color, you can just buy brushes. So there's 3 different ways you can do it, because some of you may already have the products. But this is ceramic. Somebody's already asked me if I can do this on glass. I'm going to work on it. I'm sure there's a way I can do something, but I haven't had time to practice on that yet. Okay. All right. So Jenny, can you spin the comments? Did we have any YouTube? Hey, Lucy's on here. Yay! Congrats, Lucy. Can you spin the comments, and we'll draw for the Elegant Embroidery Basic. So this has the ornaments, it has the glass using the piping paste, and step-by-step photos and patterns for you. All right, so she is going to spin and tell me who wins that one. Eileen, you won that one. Hopefully she's still on. Eileen from Arizona. You get this guy. If you've already got this, because I know you do the glass show with me, let me know and we can find another one, okay? All right. Now, this is one I did a long time ago. Well, months ago. This has got designers. We did the enamel balloon technique underneath. I fired it, and then I came back and I used the DZs. And if you look really close, right there, I incorporated my name into the little corneli lace. Kind of cool. So she's going to spin to see who gets this 6-inch little trinket dish. Kathy Ost. Kathy is from Canada, I believe, maybe, or somewhere else. Kathy, where are you from? I'm trying to remember. I got too many people all over the place. Okay, did I have anything else? I think that was it, wasn't it, Jenny? Oh, yeah. Gotcha, sorry. See, I knew I had Jenny around for a reason. Okay, I see your message, Eileen. That works for me. This is the kit that has the 4 colors that I used tonight, the scoops, and a 2-ounce medium. And how much is this worth, Miss Jenny? I don't remember. $32.25 is the value on this guy. Okay. All right. She's going to spend. John Phillip. John is from South Carolina, I believe, and I think he carries our products. He just doesn't have these in stock. So congratulations, John. So what did Karen? Where are you from? I'm trying to remember. I have 3 patrons and 3 different pricings. Thanks, Jameson. Okay, let me switch my cameras and. I just want to make sure I didn't. Yeah, you should be able to hear me. Okay. All right. So, okay, good. All right. I hope you enjoyed this and it was fun. tell me your thoughts. I do have another little sneak peek. I think I can show it to you. Do you see that? This is one of our ceramic glazes and a little bit of what's called Jostava type painting on top of it. It almost looks like a gunmetal. So watch for that. That was my little sample I did the other night and just testing out some things. So I should be on next Tuesday, but if something happens, I'll let you know. Okay. All right. You're welcome, John. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Again, go to the website, ask questions, tell me what you think about, a membership type thing if you want to do that and get more, from me. But that's up to you guys. You determine what comes next. Thank you, Jenny, for your help. And I'm going to sign off, guys. And I'll go back through and answer any questions. Thank you. Have a good evening, guys. Good night.